Hey everyone, welcome back to Sean Teaches n8n. This is part 3 and the final part of my n8n fundamental series. In part 1, we went over what a webhook is and the difference between a webhook versus an API. In the second part, we covered HTTP requests and how to pull data from an API. But here's the thing, once you get that data back, you actually need to do something with it. And that's where most beginners get stuck. So in today's video, we're covering data mapping and working with JSON. This is the skill that can take you from I can pull data to I can actually do something with that data. So let's jump in and let's begin. So first things first, what the hell is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. But forget the technical name for now, here's what you actually need to know. So JSON is just a way to structure data so the computers can read it. Think of it like a filing cabinet. Instead of throwing papers everywhere, you put them into a folder and you label them so you can easily find that stuff later. So here's an example of JSON. Do you see those curly brackets? That is a JSON object. So the stuff on the left, like name, email, age, location, they are called keys. And on the right you have my name, my email, and my age. Those are called values. So that's it. It's key value pairs wrapped in curly brackets. That's JSON. So why do we need to know this? Because when you send a HTTP request to an API, that data comes back in JSON. If you want to connect to a service like Google Sheets or Airtable, that data comes back in JSON. And also when you want to pass data between nodes in n8n, it's all JSON. So if you can't read JSON, you cannot work with that data. It's just that simple. But don't worry, there's good news. n8n makes that really easy for us. You do not need to be an expert programmer. You just need to understand the basic structure. Let me show you. So let's say you made a HTTP request with some user data inside. When you execute that node, the output is going to show in the right panel. You can look at it in schema view, table view, or JSON view. So here in the JSON, we have the ID, the name, and the email. We also have company, but the company is another object with its own key values. This is what we call a nested object. Think of it like a folder within a folder. So to view it, you can see it has the curly brackets with 3 dots, which means there's more data inside. And we can see here it has 2 items. So to view it, we just click here and we're going to see the company's name and the company's location. So I've just created another example. It's not JSON. So sometimes you'll see square brackets like this. That is not JSON. That is what you call an array. An array is just basically a list. So in this case, it's a list of users. To access the user's name, you'd have to go to user, then 0, and then name. Arrays start counting at 0. I know it's a bit weird, but just remember that for now. We'll dive deeper into that in another video. Okay, so now that you can read JSON, let's talk about using it. Data mapping is just taking data from one place and putting it somewhere else. We do this in n8n by using expressions. Expressions are just how you reference data from the previous nodes. So here's an example of a basic syntax in an example set node. So you can see the double curly brackets. Inside you can see that it's a JSON, and in the array brackets you have key name. So the double curly brackets, this is telling n8n that it's an expression, not regular text. The JSON is telling n8n that it's the JSON data from the previous node, and inside the square brackets you have the key name, which is just the specific piece of data that you want. So let's say you pulled user data from an API, and now you want to send that user an email. You'd map the data like this in your send email node. So you see here it's to JSON email, the subject is welcome JSON name, and the body is hi JSON name, thanks for signing up. So n8n will automatically use those expressions with the actual data when the workflow runs. So remember the company example from earlier. If you wanted to reference the company's name, you'd write this. So you'd open the curly brackets, you'd write JSON, brackets name, brackets company, or the other way around, sorry, close brackets. So you're basically drilling down, get the JSON, get the company object, and then get the name inside of that. So going back to our example of working with arrays now. So here we see we have our JSON typed into our code node, and we have a list of 3 names. So over here in our set node, if we want to grab the first one, the first name, we'd come over here and we'd type in our expression, curly brackets JSON, brackets users, brackets 0, because remember n8n starts counting from 0, so it's 0, then 1, and then we have brackets name, close curly brackets. Once we execute that step, it's going to grab the first name that was over here in our code node. So we see here the first name was name Alice. Okay, so that's all the topics covered for this video. So let's tie it all together and bring it into a real workflow example. So let's say you pulled a list of customers from an API and you want to send each of them a personalized email. Here's how you do it in n8n. So I just have an example workflow here. I have the manual trigger. I have a code node for get customer data, and then we have the set node for prepare the email. Okay, so first we need to get our customer data. Usually this is through an API call, but for this example, I'm just using a code node. We have 3 names, each has their own item. So we have the name, email, and their plan. So n8n will automatically process these items separately. So each individual will get their own personalized email. So let's look at how we map their data. In the tough field, I wrote $json.email, and in the subject we said, hey, $json.name, check out your $json.plan, plan. So do you see how I'm mixing the regular text with expressions? So hey is the plain text, and json.name is the expression. This gives a personalized email to each customer. So once we execute this step, look at the output. So each individual got their own email based on their data. So Alice, you can see here, hey Alice, check out your pro plan. Bob got his free plan, and Charlie got his enterprise plan email. The key here is the double curly brackets with $JSON. Whenever you see this, n8n knows to pull this data from the current item. So $JSON is the data from the previous node. Then you add the key name like name, email, or plan, like you see here. So that's it. Get your data, map it with expressions, and n8n will handle sending it to each person automatically. One workflow, 3 personalized emails. So that's all for today's video, and that's the end of our 3-part n8n fundamental series. If you don't fully understand it yet, I recommend just going back over the videos, get a proper understanding before you move on to building complex workflows. So if you found this helpful, please subscribe, as there's more videos coming out thick and fast, and we're going to be moving on to building more complex workflows. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.